Hey everybody, my name is Spencer, and in this video sponsored by Delve Bros, I'm going to give you a Kickstarter preview of the board game Taelmoor, designed by Eli, Willem, and Zach Delventhal, aka the Delve Bros. This is a cooperative dungeon crawl board game that uses QR code technology to enhance the gaming experience. Before I dig in anymore, okay, that's pretty lame, I want to ask you to please subscribe to the Lighten Up initiative. Those subscriber numbers are very important to me. Just ask my wife. Taelmoor is a game unlike most games. It does share a few similarities to other games, but at its very core, I haven't played anything like it. Uniqueness is key in this ever-growing hobby of board games, and Taelmoor is definitely unique. Not so much in its theme. It's a pretty standard fantasy with the familiar classes, elf, barbarian, rogue, cleric, etc., but it's the execution of the game that's exciting here. See, Taelmoor is all run by an app. The app contains all the adventure text and encounters. In fact, you can consider the app to be the dungeon master or game master, depending on which of those titles you prefer. Think along the lines of something like Mansions of Madness, at least in that sense. To interact with the story, you will scan various components when appropriate. Map tiles, monsters, NPCs, items, and passages all have QR codes on them. There are so many QR codes in this game. When you explore a tile, you scan it with your mobile device and the app will break down what's in the room for you. When you want to interact with an item, you scan it and then you scan the other code. For example, you scan a key that you think goes to a door, so you scan the key, then the door, and then the app will tell you if it works or not. That's pretty cool! But you might be thinking you've seen similar technology in games like Chronicles of Crime or Destinies. And you'd be right, but I think the scope of how it's been implemented in this game is so much larger than any other game with similar tech. So for this next feature, get ready to have your minds blown. Well, you'll probably still keep your minds, but still, an awesome feature that I haven't seen in any board games is the shared app for the entire group. What I mean is, when the adventure begins, everyone who is playing will join the virtual room by going to a generated URL. Think of something like games in Jackbox. Everyone is connected via this virtual link, which means everyone will need to have their own device for the game to be most enjoyable. You can enter multiple characters on one device, but it has to be shared, and nobody likes to share. Well, at least I don't. Just ask my children. But with each adventure, players will get passages of text unique to their characters, so it's beneficial to have your own device. Yes, the app keeps up with each character, no matter how many you're playing. So each character may read something different, but they also interact with the world differently. A task that a barbarian can complete probably won't be successful by the elf. And this isn't determined by the roll of a die. This is all stuff that's been programmed into the app. Which brings me to my next point. I'm super impressed by the amount of work that's gone into this game. First, you have the intriguing, adventurous story written by Sarah Benton, Anna Brown, Ben Heller, and Anna Volante. Remember, not only did they write compelling text, but they had to do it for each individual character. 6 of them. Then the app itself is a masterpiece. In all of my plays, I didn't experience any glitches. While it's still not final, I was able to work it just fine. It sets up the adventure and guides you through how to use it. It's got to maintain all of the story pieces and make sure they come out at the right time. And it also has to keep track of who's doing what and where. Like I said, this is all stuff that's been done before, but never on a scale that I've seen like this. The game itself is easy to understand. Mechanically, it really is taken care of by the app. You don't have to remember any complicated rules. The app won't let you do things you're not supposed to. The game really does boil down to, on your turn, scan something, and see what happens. You'll do this to explore. Your actions are inspect, interact, move, use item, and of course, you can pass your turn. While exploring, you will receive messages that tell you to find pieces, either items, characters, or rooms, and put them on the map somewhere. In this way, you are constantly discovering new game elements. You can even interact with NPCs. You can talk with them, ask them about items you found, and maybe reveal clues to the story and any puzzles you're trying to solve. Yeah, there are puzzle elements here too. You have to use your noggin sometimes to be able to move on in the story. The app even controls the combat, with it taking place on screen. Each character has a unique combat deck. They'll scan their attacks in order to unleash them on enemies. And after combat, characters will level up, making even stronger combat cards available. Now the rulebook says Taelmoor is a narrative game with a focus on exploration and experimentation. And I'd agree with that. But that means that sometimes you may make a choice that leads to you losing the game. Your party can die in a scenario, and if that's the case, you can try again and undo your last action. I love that! You don't have to start all over if you do something stupid. Boy, how I wish I had something like that in real life. Its page on Board Game Geek states that the age range is 14 and up, but I think that younger kids should have no trouble, especially since the game is so straightforward, mechanically speaking. Story-wise, I didn't encounter anything that I felt was inappropriate. I don't know what the plans are for future adventures, but as it stands now, I think my 8-year-old daughter would have fun with it. This game is for 1 to 6 players. Now I did have a chance to play solo, and while it's not the primary way I'd recommend to play it, It does work and is fun. You have to control at least 2 characters, so you have to keep up with everything there. You might occasionally forget whose turn it is, so make sure you pay attention to that. I think the game might be a little too long at 6 players. As with many cooperative games, I think 4 players is the sweet spot, but again, it works at all player counts. So if you're interested in how technology is starting to mix in with our analog board game world, this is definitely one to check out, if for nothing else than to see how it all works together. And if you're starting to get a little tired of standard fantasy, well, this brings new life into the theme. Well, that's all for now. I hope I've covered everything you need to help you make an informed decision about backing the game on Kickstarter, which I've linked to in the description of this video. If you still have questions, feel free to post them in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out all the Lighten Up merch I have to offer on the Lighten Up light source. You can find a link to it there in the description. Until next time, don't take the board game hobby too seriously, just lighten up.